check. All right. What's happening, y'all? Now, sorry I'm late today. Cox Cable prevented me from streaming to you because they suck. That's what we have around here is Cox Cable. Their logo is 2 cups and a wet string, and they live up to it. So hopefully we're going to have fiber optic here pretty soon. But I literally just got done recording an entire show for you, and now I'm doing it over again. So that's the way it is. Let's just double check, make sure things are okay. All right. Today is July the 30th, 2024. Even though I cannot figure out how to change the title screen before I go live and record something. So I'll figure that out though. So today I got 3 things on tap. First of all, the court reforms that Joe Biden is proposing for SCOTUS. They are all up in the Twitters today, and there's some people who are sincerely asking what the problems would be with those reforms. So I'm going to review them real quick. Also, wage and price controls. They're going to make a comeback if Pete Buttigieg has his way. And we'll talk about why they suck. And then finally, the new Democratic branding for the Republican Party, which is weird. And it's working. But it may backfire. You never know. So, all right, let's see. First things first. Andy Roddick. I'm seriously asking both sides, who's against term limits, who's against a code of ethics for the highest court, and who's against rules that prevent presidents from being above the law? Be specific. So, and then here we go on. Those are, of course, the 3 things proposed by Biden allegedly right now. No immunity from crimes of former president, term limits for Supreme Court justices, and binding code of ethics. Okay, here are the problems. Number 1, no immunity for crimes a former president commits in office. I presume he's talking about former presidents, as it says, and not current presidents. But either way, it doesn't matter, because if you lose your immunity after a certain time, it's not exactly effective, is it? I mean, you're going to have immunity until you don't, and then they're going to come after you. Look, the immunity granted to the president in that Supreme Court ruling was literally nothing that hadn't been previously enshrined in the Constitution. It just hadn't been articulated. It's the only thing that prevents the president of the United States of America from being prosecuted by every single person who's involved in any conflict, or who's hurt, or who's arrested by the federal marshals. You can't just go arrest somebody. That's imprisonment. That's kidnapping and false imprisonment to arrest somebody. No, because there's immunity. That's the way the immunity works. And it protects the president from literally being able to be prosecuted for launching a war. Or you can't operate a government without that, because the president couldn't operate. So there's no way to adjust that. That's all they were doing was articulating what the powers that were already there are. So it just doesn't work. It's impossible, completely impossible. All right. Number 2. Whoops. Term limits for justices. Now, this in theory you could do. There's nothing enshrined anywhere or procedurally beneficial. I mean, there are some procedural benefits. There are benefits and detriments to having life-term appointments. Obviously, it protects the court for them to have longer terms. You could have terms of 1 year if you wanted to. What you don't want to do, though, is you don't want to hamstring your good justices. It's very hard to get those people. Those people are the serious learned scholars about our history and our laws. And when you find good ones, you want them to be able to do their job. I guess you could limit it to 10 years or something, but the problem is you're just going to weaken the court if you do that. Right now, the court is already the weakest branch of government. It can't pass any laws. It can't enforce any laws. All it does is tell one branch what the other branch is saying. So it's very weak, relatively speaking, and you can see that by the way that it's abdicated its power over the centuries. And really, we're at the point now where initially the legislature had to pass laws that were necessary and proper and only had to do with interstate commerce, and now they can pass laws that really do anything. An omnibus bill can do anything so long as the legislature makes findings of fact about a rational relationship between their purpose and the thing that they've enacted. It's amazing how far we've come. I detail that all in my brief. But in any event, the court is still exceptionally weak. So, people, they're just assuming, they just don't like the justices that are in there now. And too bad. I mean, you get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit. I mean, look, the other thing that people don't realize is they think, oh, I'm going to appoint a liberal justice, and they're going to be liberal, or vice versa. It doesn't happen that way. Those people change, and one of the reasons is because of the lifetime appointments. They know they're not going anywhere. They don't have to go do another job application after this, and so they get to do the job until it's over. All right, binding code of conduct on the Supreme Court. Here's the problem with that. It violates separation of powers because you have to have somebody to oversee the ethics committee. What are you going to do? Appoint an independent committee? No, you're not. They don't exist. So you're going to have to get people from where? The judiciary? You're going to get lower court judges to preside over the Supreme Court? I don't think so. Are you going to get executive members like presidential appointees? Nope. Why would that happen? And how about legislature? Nope. Can't do it there either. So you can't have an ethics committee above the Supreme Court. They are the ethics committee. That's the whole point. We've anointed them as the people who know the most about the ethics. You can't just be like, all right, we're going to check you guys on this little form here. So, unfortunately, those are things that are, look, they wouldn't do any good anyway. Just deal with it. The Supreme Court is not out of control. They need to be exerting more power. Roe v. Wade was a terrible case, jurisprudentially, that was an outlier. Everybody knew it was going to be overturned. It was just a matter of time. It was pretty much one of a kind, aside from maybe Potter Stewart's "I know offense when I see it" case. But the legislature can still enact whatever they want to do going forward in 50 different states to remedy that situation if the people want it. So I'm against these reforms. All right. Next, I hope that answers your question, Andy. All right. The next thing you're going to look at here is this thing from Pete Buttigieg.
And there's all kinds of studies that show right-to-work states depress wages, they depress worker safety, they do all kinds of terrible... So what is this economic populism based on?
Well, it's not based on...
I'm messing up here. I hate these freaking slides. Like, oh, I didn't see the slide there.
Policy, it's just body language. It's this idea that if you just act like you are populist, that counts. As if, look, I'm under no illusions that elections are just a policy exercise. A lot of it is vibes, a lot of it is style. But if your party has been systematically against unions, against a higher minimum wage, against things like paid family leave, against overtime, then just because you found Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock and put him on stage doesn't make you a friend of the working man, right?
All right. So what's wrong with those things? Unions, minimum wage, paid family leave, and overtime. Well, aside from unions, the last three are restrictions on workers. Now, you may not think so, but they really are. You may imagine, well, these things help workers. I mean, you can imagine the worker who's getting overtime and paid leave and minimum wage. But what you don't see are the people that weren't hired because that extra money went to those people. Basically, you're impinging on the freedom of contract between the worker and the employee, and you're excluding workers at the lowest level. These are wage and price controls. They've been tried every different way. You can't do it like that. You can't just legislate those things. It backfires every time. And Mayor Pete doesn't see it that way. We're already in a situation where it's practically impossible to hire workers in this country because of all the bureaucratic tape that there is. It's amazing how much you have to go through to make sure that you're not transgressing administrative controls. And it's surely a damper on entrepreneurialism and employment. And that is anti-worker, Mayor Pete. Anti-worker. Now, unions, I'm fine with unions as long as they're voluntary. But a lot of places we have these forced unions, required unions. That stuff just backfires. That's just extra cost. You're just raising labor costs across the board here. That's what you're doing. And when you know what happens when you raise labor costs, you get less labor. That's just the way economics works, Mayor Pete. So I'm sorry, but try again. All right. Now, the fun thing. Let's check and see if the feed is still going. The fun thing is the Democrats are rebranding the Republicans as weird. Look at that. They're weird. Look, you can see right there. They're weird. Now, this is, I'm going to have to admit, this is high-level persuasive propaganda. This is actually a very good pitch, and they're gaining a lot of traction, unless it backfires completely, which it very well could, because let's face it, the Democrats are the weirder party. I mean, here you have the image that these people have posted of the Republicans, that they call them weird. And, of course, there's a bunch of different differences. I just picked one, but their idea of weird here, I guess, is this fat guy. I mean, he's super fat. I don't know if that's weird. Everybody's kind of dirty a little bit, but they are at a gas station and an outdoor archery place. And, of course, they got the Southern flag here, which, of course, everybody knows represents the Dukes of Hazzard. So I don't know why they're terribly weird, but okay. And then you look over here. That's just another one here for the Democrat side. And it gets a little weirder. You got dog guy here. I mean, that's pretty weird. I mean, I realize just his only sexual proclivity, but come on. This next guy is just gay, and nothing wrong with him. Nothing weird about that. I don't know why. Is that looks like Dr. Jill kissing Kamala's husband. Is that what that is? I'm not sure. This next guy, he's weird. That's clearly some weird shit, right? Because okay, this is the guy I'm talking about with the suit and the mask on. This is COVID stuff. Come on, man. That's weird. Now, this next guy, the blue guy, he's just in costume. That's not weird. That's just a costume. I mean, I know he looks weird, but he knows he's in costume. The guy on his left does not know he's in costume. Yeah, you go around here. Here's another gay guy. This girl's dressed as a uterus. That's a little weird. Here's another gay guy. Here's Mayor Pete. He's wearing boobs. That's weird. I'm sorry. That's like almost like a fetishization of it. I mean, I'm a father. I have daughters. You just hold the bottle. You don't strap it onto your boob. That's a little weird. And then you got Biden here sniffing kids. That's probably what he's doing. It's probably weird. You've got this trans guy and that trans guy. Could be weird. This guy's a thief and he's out anyway. Harry Sisson, he's clearly gay. No, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. He's clearly a shell. He's a young guy. And I don't sweat him anything for making his bones. Although the poor guy is going to have to spend the next freaking 40 years. Literally the third thing out of his mouth is going to be, oh, I was young. I was getting paid. I was young then. Nancy kneeling. That's not weird because she's propagandizing and she knows it. She's not in that role. This is not her clothes or anything. Chinese spy in Swalwell. I mean, look, that's not weird. He was just trying to get laid. He just got suckered. I mean, that's not weird at all. This chick is weird. What is she wearing? She's always wearing weird. Is she completely colorblind? I'm confused as to her choice. I mean, does she just do it to stay in the spotlight? She's already representative or a senator or whatever she is. She's weird. And then you got a drag queen with Kamala, sure. And another dog guy. These guys look gay. That guy's gay. This chick's got way too many piercings. It's maybe a little weird. You know, all the dog stuff is weird. And this is just another gay guy. I mean, just a lot of gay people. Not super weird. Some of it's weird, though. Mayor Pete. So, anyway, that's my assessment. I think the Democrats have the lock on weirdness. This is just another projection filter. The projection filter is undefeated for the Democrats right now. So, anyway, that's my silly little show. I got to tell you, the recorded one was better. It's hard to do a show twice, you know? It's just hard to... I'm like, it's hard. But I did what I could. So, there you go. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock.